Hello everyone, I'm Az. Welcome back to my channel. So the year was 1987. I was 8 years of age. My father was a musician and he'd played all over the world to varying degrees. He played in a lot of different places. He spent some time in America. He played in Portugal, Spain, Abu Dhabi, a lot of the UK. But in 1987, my father played in a place called Kerry, which is 2 hours from where I grew up and the house that I spent my childhood in. So we ended up then staying in the hotel on the weekends. So I would sleep in the hotel on the Friday, Saturday, Sunday night, and then come home early on Monday morning for school. Sometimes we didn't go to school, but that's another story. My parents are from the sort of 60s generation of love and peace and music, and they sort of spent their youth in the swinging 60s in London, around the time of the Beatles and Stones and all of that whole scene. So school wasn't sort of top of their agenda for us, I guess, growing up. So I wasn't always at school, but I would spend my weekends in 1987 living in this hotel in County Kerry on the weekends. So in the hotel, there was a big swimming pool, games room, movie room, five-story hotel, I think. There were football fields. There was a beach next to it, but there was a bar. And at night, the bar would convert into a nightclub. So my father was a musician. He would play for maybe 3 or 4 hours. And then late at night, then it would sort of change over into a nightclub, and there would be a disco and a DJ. So that was off limits for kids, of course. That was strictly adults. I think from about 8 or 9 o'clock, kids had to sort of leave the bar area, and then there would be music and entertainment for the night. So I hung around with the owner's two sons. They became great friends of mine, Jonathan and Tommy. And one night in 1987, we decided to sneak into the nightclub. So the restaurant area in the hotel was so you had the restaurant, and then you had the restaurant's kitchen, and then you had the nightclub bar. So you could access the nightclub. This is what we found out through the kitchen. So we would sneak into the restaurant, sneak in through the kitchen, and we managed then to sort of sneak into the nightclub. Um, which was incredible, so we managed to sneak into the nightclub, and I mean the nightclub itself was a completely different environment at night. So you had this big ginormous wooden dance floor, and then you had panels all around the club of wood. So it was the sound was incredible. They had this incredible PA system, these loud booming speakers. You had a disco ball, you had dry ice smoke, you had all those different color uh, spotlights. And it was just amazing to be so young in this sort of adult sort of environment. I guess you could sort of smell the mixture of perfume and cigar smoke and all sort. So it was quite amazing. So I found myself out on the dance floor with Tommy, and just sort of fooling around and dancing and mingling and sort of running around the dance floor. It was packed with people, absolutely packed. And this song came on. And it was just boom, 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 boom. And now, like, if to describe the way the songs sound in the nightclub, it was just unbelievable. As I said, the acoustics in the room and the PA system just boom, boom, just sort of pounding through the room. Um, and then the disco ball and the smoke and the lights, and it was just such a profound moment. And the song, of course, was Bad. It was Michael Jackson's Bad. And I just remember it so vividly, the impact it had on me. And then you had, of course, Michael's lyrics, and well, not so much the lyrics, but Michael's voice, and the layering of Michael's background harmonies and the chorus, and it was just such a catchy, hooky riff, and it just changed everything for me. It just changed everything right there in that moment on that dance floor in 1987. It just completely changed the trajectory of my entire life. The trajectory of my entire life. So I was just stunned by this tune, and I think I got talking to an older woman in the club, a female. She was quite amused. I get well, a lot of the adults would have been quite amused that there was a few kids where we shouldn't have been. So I managed to get her to request the song because obviously she saw how much I enjoyed the song, and I guess she enjoyed it as well. So the song again played probably less than an hour later. I don't really have any sort of memory of the time, but the song. So I got to hear Bad twice that night in 1987 in the nightclub in the Ballinskelligs Hotel in Rinrua in Kerry, and it was just life changing. So the next day then, when the bar was open then to everybody, I managed to to get up to the DJ box. So the DJ box in the club was up a set of sort of flight stairs. They were sort of those steel stairs up to the DJ box. It was so cool, and it was sort of in the corner, sort of almost hanging over the dance floor. Um, so I managed to get up there. I think the DJ was there just going through his record collection. I don't know what he was doing, but I managed to speak to him about the song, about this bad, about this, who was this artist, and this is what he showed me. This is what he showed me. Now I believe he had this on red vinyl. So I mean, it was just so striking. It was so striking to see Michael there with his crew. This was before I ever saw a short film, so I heard the song first the way I did in the nightclub, and then speaking to the DJ, he shows me this. He had it on red vinyl, and I just was absolutely captivated and spellbound, absolutely blown away by it. So that was really sort of my first sort of memory of my sort of introduction to Michael Jackson. So then it must have been coming up on the Monday morning, and then so all of Sunday I would have been banging on about this song by Michael Jackson, Bad, and probably just went on and on and on. We got home early Monday morning. I don't believe I went to school that Monday. Um, my father would have been exhausted and probably hungover, and yeah, we didn't end up going to school. So Monday, I don't know what I did. I don't know what I was doing Monday, but my next memory of that Monday was my father coming into the kitchen, telling me to close my eyes and hold out my hands, and he placed he placed this in my hands. So when I opened my eyes and this was in my hands, this was what was in my hands. Now, this isn't the exact copy. I had two or three more because I played it so much over 87 and 88 and 89 that I just wore the cassette out. And yeah, I think I broke our cassette tape player as well, which was like a cassette tape and a radio. I don't. We didn't even have CD. So my father gifted me this, and this just became my life, and it just literally, this little box here just changed my entire life, and every single song then just just blew me away. And it was the way the album sounded. It was the way the album sounded, the production on it, the vocals, the layering. It was just quite exquisite, quite extraordinary. And obviously this so so this was the first single, I just can't stop loving you. I didn't hear that as a single. At least I certainly had no memory of it. There was no short film for this, so it wasn't on TV. I don't really remember it on radio. I wouldn't have been a big listener of radio maybe at that age, but it was just this one was this one bad was the one, bad was the one. This was such a tune back in 1987, such a tune. Um, so I'd heard, so I had the cassette tape then, and then of course over the period of 87, 88, and 89, all of, there would be what, eight more singles released from this. So I'd heard them before they were singles, before they were short films, before they became the big hits they did. But they all sounded like hits in waiting. I mean, it just, I mean, it even before they were singles, this sounded like it was like a best of a greatest hits. It was just absolutely phenomenal. So the next single was "The Way You Make Me Feel." Apologies if there's a glare. The holders I have here actually are quite shiny. So the next one was "The Way You Make Me Feel." I didn't have any of these as singles when I was a kid. This was all I had, and that was all I needed really. I didn't need any of these on single. I had this, and I was happy. This was my entire life. So then I remember the "Way You Make Me Feel" was released, and um, the music video or the short film for that. But even sorry, I've jumped ahead, but even so, at some point obviously I saw the short film for Bad, but I didn't see the full length. I didn't see the black and white section at the beginning, that whole story. And I didn't see the ending of Michael sort of ad-libbing with his crew against Wesley Snipes. So I would have only seen the musical portion of the short film, so just perhaps the music section. So I mean, he was just so striking and so androgynous and otherworldly looking, and it was so slick, the dance moves. So to hear the song in the club the way I did, and then to see the music video section, not realizing there was a whole other part of that short film. But it was just so profound on me. It was just so profound, and like many others as well. And then, sort of from Bad on, really, everybody in my neighborhood seemed to be sort of Michael fans for 87 and 88. Um, and I was hooked, and I was hooked. I was absolutely hooked. So we had "The Way You Make Me Feel" next, and that picture of Michael on the back of "The Way You Make Me Feel" actually features in the Dancing the Dream book, which was my previous video. If you haven't watched my earlier video, yeah, I recommend that you give that a watch. So that was "The Way You Make Me Feel." "The Way You Make Me Feel" was played morning, noon, and night on the radio and on the TV. And of course, this was the era of MTV as well. So Michael in the 80s on MTV just dominated and was on MTV around the clock. So after the so we've had "I Just Can't Stop Loving You," which sort of came and went. There was no short film. Then we had "Bad," "The Way You Make Me Feel," and then "Man in the Mirror" was released. Now I don't have "Man in the Mirror" here with me on single, but obviously most of you would have sort of be familiar with the short film of Man in the Mirror. I suppose really that is just sort of a musical promo. There's people like Bob Geldof, Gandhi, JFK's funeral, Willie Nelson. There's a load of different sort of moments in American musical history, I guess, sort of, well, not musical history, just history in general, political stuff. And I think Gorbachev is on there shaking hands with another political leader, whose name escapes me. But then you had "Dirty Diana," and "Dirty Diana" again was another one that just was, I mean, the short film, I mean, okay, I mean, that one, I guess you could class it as a music video, that one. But Michael on stage performing, just wow, just wow. And again, the production, um, the staging, the lights, and of course, around this time as well, then you had the Pepsi TV adverts. Now there was a whole series of those adverts called The Chase that Pepsi made, and it was 6 or 7 adverts that sort of followed each other. But I only remember really seeing sort of the one where he sung the version of Bad, which was incorporated. So he sort of incorporated Pepsi lyrics into it. So that was the one I saw, and that was enough. I mean, that was incredible. It was such a striking TV or advert. It was like a mini music video, and I would get so excited anytime that advert would come on TV. It was absolutely phenomenal. Apologies for the sound of my chair; it needs oiling. It's a little bit squeaky. So what did we have after Dirty Diana? So then we had Another Part of Me, and again, like Another Part of Me must have come out late '88. I can't remember. I statistically and with dates, and especially with dates, I'm a little bit rubbish. But seeing that, I have such vivid memories of the first time I saw this performance as well. It was just unbelievable, unbelievable to see Michael on stage performing. Such frenetic, spontaneous energy from him, so much charisma, looked incredible. Staging, lighting, band, Michael on point, spinning on a dime, and just sort of landing to the beat of You're Just Another Part of Me and sliding and gliding across the floor. Absolutely phenomenal stuff. So it was just sort of one moment of greatness after another. So after Another Part of Me, then Michael released. Now I don't have this on 7 inch or 12 inch, so it's actually from the video singles. Is it Visionary? The Visionary box set. Michael released this Smooth Criminal. Now I'll be honest with you. When I initially sort of was listening to the album, Smooth Criminal, for one reason or another, wasn't one of my personal favorites. I liked it, but it didn't sort of excite me in a way a lot of the other tracks did, and I don't know why really, because it's a phenomenal track. But I remember coming down for school one morning and my brother telling me he'd recorded the new Michael Jackson music video, which was Smooth Criminal, and I must have watched it 4 or 5 times that morning before I went to school. And that was a day I did go to school, but I didn't learn a whole lot that day because for the whole day I just daydreamed about Smooth Criminal, and just the magic of the music video. It was absolutely incredible. Now I know I'm using a lot of superlatives for this sort of describing these, but like it's just trying to capture the profoundness of the impact of the Bad era and the Bad album. And I mean, for younger people watching this video as well, I mean, I suppose it's sort of funny now to look at something like that and consider that this sort of was like such a treasure and was so meaningful to have this. A lot of my friends would have had this on so I would have copied this on cassette for my friends. So I had a double cassette player. So then they would give me their sort of blank cassette, and then I would record this album onto it for them, which was quite exciting as well. So that was sort of the initial run. Then we sort of went into 1989, and then sort of to sort of okay. So I'm getting ahead of myself. So in late 1988, Michael's movie, this one, Moonwalker, played for a limited time in movie theaters, and my brother brought me to see this. I'm jumping ahead of myself here as I speak, I'm realizing, but I'm just sort of thinking back, I guess, in real time. But my brother brought me to see this, and it was incredible. It was absolutely incredible. And then when I saw this, I believe was around the same time that I saw this, um, Leave Me Alone, which again, I mean, just phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. The song itself was. Hi everyone, welcome back to part 2 of the video. So my microphone failed when I was originally making my video today, so I'm coming at you now from another location. I'm on my lunch break at work, so I just want to quickly continue with the video. So I think I was up to Moonwalker, which came out in 1989. And a lot of people sort of saw this, I suppose, as a sort of a promotional tool for Michael Jackson, which I suppose to an extent it was. It was a promotional tool, but I mean, Michael was great at marketing, and I guess Michael sort of wanted a piece of Michael in that sense. And like, there's, you know, the main portion of the movie itself, I suppose, is quite weak. But I mean, when you consider it has the musical montage in the beginning, it's got the full length smooth criminal in the middle. And then it finishes as well with "Come Together," which was fantastic. And I got to see this in 1989 in the movie theater. It was in the cinema for a limited time, and my brother brought me to see this. And seeing this on a big screen, especially opening with Man in the Mirror, which was filmed in Antrim in Liverpool, was just unbelievable. And probably the closest, really, you could get to seeing Michael live at that time and on that tour. But I mean, the main part of the movie script is, you know, Michael turning into sort of transformers and cars and all sorts of crazy effects. But it's a nice little sort of it's a nice little sort of collection of Michael Jackson images and moments, and something I think that a lot of fans sort of have a lot of nostalgia for, and I know I do, and I really like it. I think it just sort of captures the magic again, and you know, that certain type of innocence that Michael had, and that he just put into so much of his work, and it really comes through. It's a really fun little nostalgia sort of mix of maybe not comedy, but like some funny little moments and nice quirky moments, some fantastic visuals, and yeah, it's something that I highly sort of recommend if you're a fan. Yeah, so well worth that, well worth getting. The other thing then is in 1989, my brother got me this, and this is The Legend Continues. And this, I guess, really is where I sort of began sort of learning about Michael Jackson's early days from the Jackson 5. It goes through his entire career up until Bad Era, which was when it was released. And it's just, again, it's got some wonderful footage, and I learned so much about the Jackson 5 in this, and We Are the World. And of course, it sort of has some clips of Motown 25 and the impact that that had. And it finishes then with a live performance of Michael performing Heartbreak Hotel, which is from Yokohama on the 87 leg of the Bad Tour. But in this, it's edited with footage from Australia, so it looks like it's like from the Australian sort of early leg of the 87 Bad Tour, but it's a wonderful cut of the performance, and it makes it more exciting, I guess, than it already is to begin with. So highly recommend that. I suppose there's so much available online in this day and age that you wouldn't really need to see something like this. Um, but for a lot of the fans who grew up in the 80s, like myself, this was really important and really treasured. And I lent this out to friends of mine. I would go to visit friends and bring this with us. We had, you know, when I had babysitters looking after me as well, we would watch this, and it just holds a lot of special magical memories as well. So that was that. And the Bad Tour itself, of course, was a phenomenal tour, and that tour deserves its own video, really. I do have a scrapbook here of the tour, and I have a number of scrapbooks actually, and I might sort of make some separate videos on my scrapbook collection. But the tour itself was absolutely huge, broke loads of records, set new records. Michael created a new record for most concerts performed in Wembley at the time, which was, you know, the biggest deal, I guess, really. But this scrapbook sort of covers, really, I guess, the European section of the tour. Obviously, as I say, it started off in 87 in Japan, and then it went to Australia. So Michael performed in Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane, I believe. And then in Japan, he performed in Yokohama, Tokyo, and some other places. Um, but you know, you'll all be aware of like the costumes and the set list. The '88 tour really, I suppose, is where Michael sort of came into his own as a solo sort of legend. In that he, the the '87 tour didn't feature any songs from Bad apart from I Just Can't Stop Loving You and Bad. But then in 1988, he went back to America and he rehearsed the new show. And it was a new stage set, new costumes, new set list, new lighting. And he just completely blew everybody away, as he did in '87 and as he did it in the mid '80s on the Victory tour. But there's Michael arriving in London, and I vividly remember this on the news. There's Michael with Frank DeLeo, his manager. So Michael came to Cork in July 1988. So Michael, biggest artist in the world, didn't go to Dublin. He came to my hometown, Cork City, which was a huge deal at the time. I think the promoter's name was Oliver Barry, who managed to secure Michael Jackson performing in Cork, and this was before anybody performed in Cork City. Dublin, as I say, is the capital of Ireland, and that's where everybody would have went. But after Michael Jackson came to Cork, U2 came to Cork, Prince came to Cork, Springsteen, pretty much everybody. It opened the door for Cork City as a musical location, as a musical venue. And that was thanks to Michael coming. And, it's to, for an artist of Michael's magnitude, especially in 1988. I mean, there's famous people and there's Michael Jackson famous, and for him to come to Cork City, which at the time would have been like the back end of nowhere, was just a major coup for Cork City, and really sort of boosted the economy and just brought so much excitement to Cork City. And there's a picture there from Wembley from Smooth Criminal. I did have a Cork special that was in the local newspaper when Michael performed over the 30th and 31st of July, but I don't have that any longer. And it's something that I've sought out for years, but haven't been able to sort of track down from anywhere. And of course, one of the big moments in the Wembley shows was when Michael met Princess Diana, and Michael donated a lot of cash to the Prince's Trust, $450,000, which at the time, I mean, it's still a lot of money now, but at the time it was, a considerable amount of money. So there's Michael meeting Prince Charles, and you've got Michael doing Beat It there at Wembley. And I wasn't able to go and see Michael on this tour. My mother couldn't afford tickets. So it was quite upsetting that I couldn't get to see Michael perform on the Bad Tour. But we did go down to the venue and we did listen to the concert, and it was life changing. It was absolutely life changing. And then the other thing about that is that we walked down the pathway into the venue to Park Huive, and that was lined with vendors selling burgers and hot dogs, and then all sorts of memorabilia, t-shirts, scarves, hats, programs, everything, Michael Jackson, everything, badges and all sorts of things. But there was a limousine driving slowly, creeping down the pathway towards the venue, and the limousine stopped and spoke to a security guard who was sort of on the beat for the footpath where the concert goers were walking towards the venue, and the blacked out window came down, and there was this guy with a ponytail chomping on a big cigar, and it was Frank DeLeo. It was Frank DeLeo, so I was probably about 10 feet from Frank DeLeo, and I knew who it was, but nobody else did. And I desperately wanted to approach him and explain to him that I was a big Michael fan and we couldn't afford tickets, but I didn't have the intelligence to be able to do that. So it was very much a moment where I simply froze and I was in awe, and I would have been much too shy and nervous to approach him, which is a shame. I feel like if I had been a couple of years older, maybe a teenager, I might have had the balls to do that, but I just didn't at 8 years of age. So it was quite sad, and it was another case of so close yet so far, and to be alive and to be literally in where the bad tour was happening, and to not be able to go into that concert was just it still hasn't left me. It's still, I'm scarred for life over it. But it wasn't my mum's fault. She couldn't afford tickets. My father, I think, was back in America working, so it just wasn't to be. It wasn't to be. And then to this day, because of that, I have a lifelong obsession with the bad tour, which deserves its own video, really, the bad tour, because it was just such an impactful, such a pioneering, incredible tour, and just really, really magical, that tour. We have Michael here in Marbella, I think, doing she performing "She's Out of My Life," and you have the female coming up, a nice lady coming up. You've got Michael here with some family. Not sure. I think again that's Marbella, and that's actually the lady who is on stage. That's actually the young lady who's on stage right there as well. So that must be her family. So, a dream come true for Chabeli. During his concert in Marbella, Michael Jackson invited her up on stage with him later on another rare privilege. Later on, another rare privilege, the superstar posed for a photo with Chabeli and her brothers and half sister. I can't remember if she's like a pop star or some sort of European royalty, or I don't know. I'm not sure who she is actually. I don't recall reading about her. Um, Jacko's Day Superstar, and this is when Michael played Ronde Park in Leeds. I've got a friend of mine actually who attended that concert, and he's attended every Michael concert. Tony, if you're watching, hope you're well. And Tony, you're in there somewhere, no doubt, near the front. You lucky person. Um, we've got some there for Michael on stage at Roundhay Park in Leeds. How do I pronounce it? It's Roundhay Park, is it? Roundhay Park. So we've got actually, and this is from Milton Keynes, I think, but that's some photos here of the side of the stage from Milton Keynes. Yeah, Milton Keynes. But the concert was incredible, and I mean the impact and the anticipation for Michael to see Michael on this tour was just unmatched. Um, it was his first solo tour, obviously, but the anticipation around seeing Michael and the wanting to see him, and then the impact of seeing him was just, was just unprecedented. It was like the second coming, seeing Michael Jackson on the Bad Tour. Um, he was an absolute megastar at the top of his game. And then I believe he wanted to sail back. Did he want to sail back from somewhere? So Michael sailing's ashore thing for Jackson singer. So there's a picture there of Michael um, on a boat. Does he say singer Michael Jackson is welcomed aboard a Dover ferry by Captain Patrick Hammond before sailing to Calais yesterday. So he sailed back to was it back to France? I think it was back to France. So Michael left the UK on a boat, which I've already shown. But that, I guess, is a conversation for another day. Um, but yeah, that's sort of my introduction to how I became a Michael fan and how it just changed the entire trajectory of my life. And it's just amazing to think that if I hadn't been in Kerry in that nightclub on that night, hearing the song that way would, I do think I would have. become a Michael fan inevitably one way or another, but just the fact that it was so impactful, and then becoming a fan, the way it sort of changed my life, and the people I met, and meeting my wife, of course, on a Michael forum as well. Quite extraordinary, quite extraordinary, really. And just the fact that I'm sitting here talking to you now, just because of this song and album in 1987, and then just following Michael's career, being a mega fan my whole life. It's been quite a journey. So thank you for watching this video. My apologies for the unedited condition of the video. I don't really have time to get into editing and all of that. So perhaps it's something I need to look into. And thank you for watching. And I will see you in my next video. Thank you.